3, 2, 1. And coming back to you for the 105th episode of Weaponized Chromosomal Aberrations. That's way too many big words that I wrote down there. It's Let's Go Hunt. Tonight, as always for the past few episodes, we have Vince, new and improved, Dave, Christmas concert survivor, Mike, who's doing the best he can but should try harder, and on my way to drill your mom's well and hook up her septic, I'm Sam Alexander.
Driller septic, huh?
I mean, sure, why not? It worked either way. That's just not the way I wrote it down.
I understood some of those words.
Drill and septic. You familiar with those two?
Don't think so.
I would have fucked up chromosomal aberrations. 100%.
I almost did. That's why I was like, why did I write those words? Fuck that. My brother's septic down in Texas has like a little fucking sprinkler system, man, where it sprays the nasty poop water all over the place, and I don't understand how this is a thing.
Oh, the gray water systems?
Yeah.
Caca juice.
Seems a little...
Gray water's a little different. That's like dishwater.
Yeah, gray water's that. Dishwater. You know, it's got some soap in it. It's nice and clean.
Well, they call the other one black water.
That's...
Oh, wait. Wasn't that a military contractor?
I think it was, wasn't
it? Yeah, Blackwater back in Iraq days. That little bear claw emblem thingamajiggy. Travis Haley was on board with them. There's that video of them shooting dudes however far away on top of a rooftop, and can't remember what town in Iraq it was. No, Blackwater was the shizzle for a while, and then not anymore.
Real soldiers of fortune.
Yeah, I think the last of them went out with Africa, though. I was just talking to the client I'm working for now, who went down on some expedition along the Skeleton Coast in Namibia, driving around some $120,000 Land Rover Ineos Grenadier thingamajiggy. I was just talking with her today about that trip, and while I wouldn't want to pay to go on it, it sounds like it was fun. They were freaking... Now, of course, driving 12 hours days doesn't sound fun, but they'd get to like their little camp for the day, would be all set up with little servers and waiters and shit. I'm thinking, man, this is like colonialism at its best. Fuck.
If I'm leaving the country, I'm going to knock on Jack Carmody's door and we're going to go shoot camels.
I would agree with that.
Absolutely.
The problem is, Dave, you wouldn't want to just shoot camels. You'd be like, show me the farm. And I would be like, show me.
Take me in your fucking plane, sir.
And I'm still enamored by that whole... I can't remember what he said, but when they were jumping on the fucking... I called it a moped. It wasn't a moped. It looked like a moped in the picture. And
it was a motorbike.
Yeah,
we'd be over here like, Dave, shut the fuck up about the tractor. And because we...
Oh, I would absolutely... I'd be like, dude, you want me to go fucking spray? You want me to go plant? Which his farm and his ranch are separate, but I'll go punch cows down in Australia.
I mean, I'd be game for it.
We're out there to play Big Game Hunter. We're out there to play Big Game Hunter 3. Dave's over there on Tractor Simulator 24.
No, Farm Sim 25, sir. Dude, do you know how bad I want to drag a land train? So bad. A land train is those. It's a regular semi, but with 4 or 5 trailers behind it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I want to pull one of those. Real hard. Bad. Real bad.
Well, I mean, you have the access. You just need to get them hooked up to each other and, not expect to go to work the next morning.
Funny thing, a farmer I used to work for was wanting to do something kind of like that, but he didn't have the trucks with the right transmissions. He was only running 10 speeds, and you needed 18 speed to drag fucking 60,000 pounds of grain.
Damn.
Just grain, let alone the truck weight.
Yeah. No kidding.
I didn't want to try to slow that 130,000 pound son of a bitch down with 10 gears. You can get to going. That is no problem. It's the stopping part that'll get you.
Just stand on the brakes. It'll be fine.
No, you just need to let off the gas about 30 miles outside your destination.
Actually, he told me, he's like, if I see the brake lights come on this truck, I'm going to chew your ass because that pedal cost me money. This switch doesn't cost me shit. The Jakes.
Yeah.
Andrew brakes. Yeah.
It reminds me of the time I was driving my 01 short box Dodge, which has a towing capacity of about 6,000 pounds, supposedly. And I had 4 tons of sand in a flatbed trailer trying to drag it back home. I'm getting up the nasty. I get up the hill, okay, and that was fine enough because I'm doing 40 in second gear. But on the other side, I'm sitting on the brake and not a whole lot's happening. And that whole ABS light comes on. I'm like, that's not good.
What's this light mean?
Okay, don't ignore that little guy. It didn't mean anything.
Funny thing was you were looking at your rotors glowing. What is that light?
Is this that warning light they tell me about?
Well, it's like the people who come down Pikes Peak, man. They got to stop halfway. They make them stop halfway down because they're smoking their damn brakes the whole way down.
And to be clear, I know how to use a transmission to slow the vehicle, and I have it in a low gear and I'm going slightly downhill and it's still speeding up. And I'm not sure I want to get down into first gear doing 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, no. So little about descents and acceleration or ascents up and down hills and shit like that. Just real quick, before you get to it, make sure you're in the right gear.
Yeah.
So I mean, you never know, especially you kind of know because there should be signs saying X% grade for X amount of miles. Like there's one outside Woodland Park in the Springs that is a 6% grade for 7 miles. Mm-hmm. So if you're coming off of that, even if you're just in a pickup, just make sure that even automatics, you can choose your gear. Don't ride your brakes.
More speed.
If you have to ride your brakes, like get fucking stopped on the side, pull over, let your brakes cool off, and then start changing gears down.
No. Just more gas.
Yeah.
At that point, you just got to get off the hill fast.
That's what happens when that guy 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
2 years ago.
At I-70.
Yeah, came down I-70 at like Mach Jesus and killed 4 people.
Oh my!
Oh, he smoked his brakes, but a young kid, I think he was 20 or 21, but his employer said if you take a runaway truck ramp, you're fired. So he didn't want to take a runaway truck ramp. So he just let the brakes boil and sent a semi-load of lumber down the hill at 70 miles an hour when it came into Golden, and destroyed I don't know how many cars, but it was a bad deal.
That's some Final Destination shit.
Yeah,
but the good news is he kept his job.
Yeah, no. Don't be too proud to put it in the ditch.
Boy,
safely. But
all right. Well, tonight I will fully admit none of us has really been up to anything, so I dug down into the big old bag of show topic ideas, and
actually,
with a little bit of what
I do have one quick topic to cover.
Oh yeah,
it's going to take 45 seconds. But
pretend like it's a high school paper, drag it out for a while.
Okay, so we had a snow come early November, so early last month, where we got a little over 30 inches of snow, and it has killed our animal numbers. Like fucking smoked them.
Like rabbits,
are exploding. There's rabbits everywhere. Coyotes are going crazy. The deer
So
and
you were
the
shooting
antelope.
rabbits.
No, I actually wasn't.
You said
but,
they were exploding.
well, I mean, they could be. Their numbers are exploding.
It turns
Okay.
out there's landmines in Springfield.
Exaggerations are up 1,000% this year. But the deer and the antelope, it's like the antelope just were like, yeah, nope, the fuck out of here. I have seen one herd of antelope in 2 months.
Jeez.
And it used to be where I'd see, at least a herd of antelope every day on my way to work. It was usually the same one. But if I went on any other fucking route, I'd always find another herd of antelope. I'd always see some deer and shit. Now, there's fucking nothing. There's fuck all. So, I don't know how it's going to play into stuff next year, but if Coop, who you guys had on when I was gone, he was actually up here hunting antelope, and I haven't talked to him recently, but I hope he got something because he was up north where I have seen antelope. So
I think he did. I think I saw that 3 out of 4 hunters tagged something. out there.
great. So
Good.
that's awesome. He
I'd
was
say all
about
those-
a half hour north of me.
All the
That's
damn
not far.
pronghorn must have run 4.5 hours north to where my parents live, because I have never seen so many pronghorn tracks over their acreage.
Mm-hmm.
Like everywhere. It's like, I've
Oh.
never seen you fucking the pronghorn
about
never come on my parents' 80 acres in my entire life. Hardly ever see them there at all. And now they're all over the place, apparently.
Talk about a place for landmines.
Right. You can look up the satellite imagery from this storm, and it's like there was a perfect fucking line from north to south, like 2 miles east of 287, Highway 287 down here in
Mhm.
Springfield, and it goes all the way up into almost Elizabeth, to where it starts to kind of curl back in, but it's like when that happened, there was 120 that got killed, 120 antelope that got killed just on the road down here.
Damn.
Because they were in the road and they wouldn't move and fucking.
And those brakes were smoking, man.
Yeah, I didn't do any of them.
Okay, I was about to ask. Like, that was a specific number, Dave.
Do you know how bad I want to hit something with a plow?
I mean, pretty bad.
I was a
have
reasonable man
plowed-
forced to do unreasonable things.
I have plowed dead shit off the road before, which is disgusting because it fucking makes a mess. Because when you're plowing dead stuff off, you're like, oh, I gotta go slow, just kind of push it, and then it smears its deadly juices all over all of my paint. And it is fucking awful. My truck has to stay parked outside for a week because I can't pull
God.
it inside and stink up the shop.
Okay, I have a just real quick. I was out working doing my job that I'm not going to get into, but I had to drive down the side of the road and there's
You did
traffic
well.
coming around me, so I could not avoid. It's the middle of summer in Oklahoma, and I see up ahead a small animal, which I assume was a field rat that had been hit, but it was bloated and looked like a small football, and there was no way to avoid it. And I hit it with that right front tire, and it burst in, like splattered on that wheel well, and I had to smell it for the rest of the freaking day, and it was not going anywhere. Normally, I try to avoid hitting that stuff because, but that was a day,
Yeah.
one of the days of all time.
It's a rat grape right there.
So yeah,
Ugh.
I'm not actively hunting
Forbidden road
animals
grape.
with my plow, but it's one of those things I want to check off my list.
Fish squeezer, he will definitely hit the brakes and do all proper caution to avoid all hitting or avoid hitting all wildlife at all times.
What I'm told is
I will
that
do my
Legal
damnedest.
disclaimer.
But
braking or swerving for wildlife is unsafe.
absolutely,
It's dangerous.
you
I
can
just
brake,
happened-
just
I
don't
just
turn.
I just happened to swerve in the wrong direction and hit him.
You
Shit.
can't slam on the brakes. If you have to slam on the brakes, then that's too much.
No,
you have to ease
controlled
on them.
braking.
Whoa.
You want to give enough brake to where your ABS doesn't kick on.
By the way,
Threshold braking,
ladies.
that's what they call it.
By the way, ladies, Vince is for hire. Message us on Instagram.
What am I for hire for? I don't know what's
Let's
going
go
on.
on the podcast.
Never mind.
We missed
You
that
know me.
reference, and we're moving on.
Oh, the people got it. All right. So, out of the big bag of show titles, what I am digging out was the Free Roaming Horses and Burros Act of 1971. Thank you, Richard Nixon. Actually, the genesis for this whole this idea was our listener who goes by Agent Entropy in Nevada, because Nevada is where this is the most prevalent issue, and then slight similarities to feral camel problems down in Australia, but it's not quite
and
one.
Brumbies.
And what?
Which are the wild Brumbies, which are the wild horses.
Oh,
in Australia. Which, if I go down to see Jack, I will also be shooting.
What kind of word is Brumby?
Have you never seen Man from Snowy River?
No.
When I was a kid, I was more of a. If we're talking Australian cowboy movies, it's Quigley Down Under. Yeah, like if you want to go down there and play farmer, I want to go down there and play Quigley, which unfortunately means Jack owns the ranch. That makes him Alan Rickman, the bad guy. So it's not going to end well.
Well, anyway.
Fair, but you get to take a sharps.
I mean, that's probably that would be a legal firearm in Australia. I bet it better be.
Fucking breech load, Jesus!
It's falling block breech load. I mean, come on. All right. Let's see here.
Wild horses were seen as symbols of the pioneer spirit and integral to American heritage.
So
what is this nonsense?
So first of all, how did the horses get here? Horses actually were, they probably came over. They came over here on the same old land bridge that a bunch of mammals came on back in the old caveman days, until they were hunted to extinction by people.
Actually, I heard it was the opposite. I heard that the horse originated in North America.
Oh, you're right.
Spread to Europe from North America over said land bridge,
but
then were hunted to extinction in the Americas.
You are actually 100% right. I flipped it in my head.
Okay.
They are natives to the Americas, and then went over, and then on that side ran into these guys named the Mongolians who really liked their horses. Just kidding. And got hunted to extinction in North America until the old Spanish dude showed up.
And then in 1082, Spirit sailed the ocean blue, and the horses came back to America.
This is what that Gideon Optics said. Wild horses hunted the people. That's what came to my mind when Vince said it was the opposite. As well.
Humans were hunted to extinction in Florida by the horses. Got it.
That explains a lot. Anywho,
horse.
Most or all, actually no, all horse populations in the United States have their origin. Some of them actually genetically, I guess they've tested them back to like Spanish horses, so probably descendants of the ones the Spaniards came over on and either broke loose or were set free to go breed in the wild. Anyway, that's the origin of wild horses. I saw that thing too about them being seen as symbols of the pioneer spirit and integral to American heritage, and thought that was kind of funny.
Maybe a plow horse.
Yeah,
pack horse. America wouldn't be what it is without horses. Even to this day, people still use horses.
With donkeys.
It's a burro.
Though horses did kind of reshape the American continent after the introduction of pathogens to North America, because it gave certain groups who were willing to utilize the horse to its full advantage distinct advantages in warfare over their neighbors who were not.
A real quick unsung hero of the foundation of America, I think, is oxen. They're always overshadowed by horses.
That is true. Yes.
But
Dave, what is an oxen, and why not just call it a big cow?
But it's a big fucking Kyle.
Big Kyle.
Apparently, it's a different species. It is not quite buffalo. Bigger than cow.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so
To riff on that the part about the horses and Native Americans a little bit more.
yes,
Like
please.
after the introduction of smallpox to North America, we talk about
do it.
all of these different tribes have warrior cultures. There was a massive die-off of people. North America was basically Mad Max with horses, going into the 17th and 18th centuries.
That's a show title.
Seriously, what we see here after we start the colonization of the Americas was not like we're pushing out the people who were here before. The people who were here before were mostly dead. What was left over was what rose out of what was probably a fairly normalized, interconnected continent that was ravaged by deadly diseases. Into the horse, which is basically the motorcycle of the 1500s.
All I have to say is, so chariots in the ancient world caught on before guys riding on the back of horses because A, horses were smaller back then, and B, somebody at least had the common sense to say, I'm not climbing on that thing. That thing is skittish. It bucks me off. It'll act normally up until it sees some tiny infinitesimal. They didn't have plastic bags on the ground back then, but in modern times, horses doing fine, and then there's a bag stuck to that fence. Oh god. Next thing you know, your horse is trying to freaking kill you.
Yeah, and then they invented rednecks, and someone decided to ride a horse.
Can you imagine the first guy that tried? It's like just hanging on by ears, laying around the neck, underneath the head. I don't know what to do.
And then somebody had the bright idea to sit on top of it.
And then we perfected the practice by sitting upon the horse.
Oh boy. Now chariots were prevalent over, people riding on horses. Then horses got bigger, and then people started sitting on horses, and then the stirrup was invented, and then you have the birth of heavy cavalry in the medieval period, which is just and then it keeps on going on before you know it, and then you got dudes riding around the Civil War shooting braces of pistols at each other, and then cavalry dies out and becomes tanks.
Fairly quickly, actually.
Fairly quickly. Getting out pick says, God bless John Wayne and Chuck Norris for domesticating those feral beasts for us.
Are you talking about rednecks? Oh, horses.
I would assume so.
John Wayne was actually a hell of a horseman.
He better be.
That dude, he can control a horse. Could.
He better be. That's all I have to say. All right, so I was doing research because I should have and did on the free roaming. I'm not going to call this wild free roaming horses and burros Act of 1971 because that's a mouthful. But leading up to that, there were already population control issues with wild horses, and it's Nevada. Oddly enough, that Nevada has, let's see, I gotta find out my numbers here. This is highly professional here.
86,000.
Well, there's 86,000 on BLM managed lands in total, like across the country. Nevada has something like 35,000 of them. Like Nevada has the bulk of them all planted in Nevada, probably mostly because Nevada is like 82% publicly owned land, and it's dry and arid there, so fewer predators, fewer competition, so on and so forth.
Y'all want to
go?
You want an anecdote about where I hunt down in southeast Oklahoma?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. That area has feral wild horses that were many of them probably descended. So, do you know the movie Hidalgo?
Yep.
Based on a true story.
Mm-hmm.
He did indeed release the horse into the wild in that area. of southeast Oklahoma, and there are feral horses that hang out down there and can be kind of a pain in the ass. I learned about them not recently. I learned about it like 15 years ago when I went up there horseback riding with my dad and uncles, and the people who, kind of ran this trail riding service and cabins up there were like, yeah, y'all got to be kind of careful. There's wild horses around here. You're going to be on your horses, and they kind of don't like that there's unfamiliar horses in the area. So there's this one stallion that's going to probably, if he sees you, he's going to come and try and mess with you. Like, oh, that's nice. Cool. Anyway, that's my anecdote.
He just wants a hug. Anyway, so population numbers prior to, going into the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, with wild burros and horses, started seeing a pretty sharp decline with the advent of motorized vehicles, because suddenly rounding these things up became a hell of a lot easier than doing it on a horse. So I personally think it's a bit of an interesting story of unintended consequences, because I can sympathize somewhat with the motivation to put some protections on them, because that way people aren't just roaming around trying to, because they were competition for other livestock and going through and trying to eradicate them. I get that part. The funny part of unintended consequences is the pendulum swings so far in the other direction that now you end up in a situation where there are so many damn horses and you can't do anything about them that isn't super expensive, not permanent solutions, or just flat out doesn't work. Generally speaking, with the non-lethal alternatives, I had to Google what wild horse fertility control looked like, because the first thing that popped to mind is guys trying to lasso horses and do vasectomies on them, which I would love to see somebody do without anesthesia. That would be fun.
You just banned them.
They don't actually. It seems like
really
they hit them with hormones, that they dart them from a distance from the air.
I mean,
they will go.
I could see it.
Yeah, there's claims that the medicine's supposed to be effective for 1 to 2 years. Efficacy of that seems like it's a little bit in doubt, but it does seem like it's fairly effective.
Man, I just feel like having the skill and the money to get paid to shoot things from a helicopter just is starting to sound much more and more like I missed out on something.
Goals.
Are you saying there needs to be a trade school for it?
Like, why isn't there? Like, where's the college courses for that?
I'm pretty sure there is, but you got to join the military and become an aerial gunner on a helicopter. I tried. They didn't want me. They said I was too stupid.
I thought your head wouldn't fit in one of those.
These days, probably. I get rejected for that. I mean, my head wasn't that big that back then. This is a newer problem. This is a growing problem. Pretty soon, I'm not going to fit in any hat.
You should have that checked out.
Actually, it's just because I'm fat now compared to what I used to be. That's entirely the issue. I have head fat that I didn't used to have before. There's like fat on my skull, and it's not like super bad fat, but it's just enough to make my head grow by about 1.5 centimeters.
What's funny is I see Dave typing.
Yep.
Oh boy. So if you look at the expenditure for taxpayer costs on the the wild horse and burro programs, it's like $157 million annually as of 2023. 50 million of that for off-range holding facilities, housing, removed horses. $53 million spent since 53 since 2006 is not terrible per year, but on helicopter roundups, which to me sounds almost as dope as shooting them, because I guess imagine being the helicopter pilot who's just flying around.
I mean, it's a roundup
all day long.
They used to do that, but they had to ride horses. Now you get
now you get to ride a horse in the sky.
Is that
what?
Okay, that changes the song Ghost Riders in the Sky quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he can't catch that herd anymore. If you got a fucking helicopter, what's your excuse, man?
He's got to catch that herd, and suddenly, Fortunate Son blaring in the background.
And it turns out your horse horse fertility controlled gun is actually a machine gun. Oh shit, we darted that one 3 times. Oops. Look, you can watch his balls shrinking. It's just like in Red Dead Redemption. Look, his balls are shrinking. Ugh. Anyway, part of the insustainability is I did not know this. Actually, no, I guess I kind of did. That horses breed like fucking rabbits. The population doubles every 4 to 5 years out there. So if there's 86,000 of them now, in 4 to 5 years, there's going to be another 70, 80,000 of them on top of that. And then ecological strains with overgrazing, soil degradation, they compete with pronghorn and sage-grouse big time. If you've ever seen horses, they don't graze as intensively, in my experience, as like cattle do, but they nib it down pretty good.
4 to 5 years. One of the things there is there are very few apex predators that can take down a horse, so they have to target young animals, but young animals can still run really fast.
Mm-hmm.
In general, horses are kind of fragile creatures. Like any kind of leg injury, and they're pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Growing up and my dad breeding horses and always trying to get, a foal out of one, it seemed like most of them died. So 4 to 5 years, I have to assume that the wild horses are just generally hardier, and that's an actual example where if you have the ones that the foals tend not survive, that directly ends up in the gene pool, and you have the hardier animals that do tend to survive.
They probably don't get colic nearly as often, which therefore, or at all, which therefore prevents having to go out there and walk a horse in small circles for hours on end. Ask me how I know.
Yeah. Yep. Colic.
Mm-hmm.
One of the dumbest things, like, horse is a little constipated and then it dies.
Your horse has died of dysentery. Fuck.
Like, how do these animals actually survive in the wild? It'll make you stop and think that. But anyway,
I was working at a ranch here a few years ago, and they were big horse people. Like, had a little over 200 horses. That's what they did. Not cows.
That's a lot.
Roping horses. Like, $40,000 roping horses. And I don't know exactly what happened. We thought it was like a bad batch of hay. Like mice had got into it, or there was mold or something like that. I'm not shitting you. These horses were fucking possessed. Eyes bulging out of their head, and they were fucking red, and they were biting the corrals, and they would bite it, and they wouldn't let go. I mean, like fucking pulling on it. And I don't know how many died, 5 or 6 that night. And we're like, what in the fuck is going on here? Fucking having to hook saddle horses up to drag dead horses out of the fucking alley. And it was one of the strangest things I have ever fucking seen. And it was,
man, that sounds like Night of the Living Dead, but with horses.
Dude, it was
alien
spooky shit
right there.
Yeah. Nope, don't like that.
Never seen a horse bite like the bottom rail of a panel and wouldn't fucking let it go. Just kept pulling on it. I'm like, are you trying to pull your own fucking teeth out?
I know cribbing is a thing with horses, but that's kind of weird and different. My assumption is the 5 to 6 dead horses were shot because they were trying to escape.
Nope, they just died. They were doing the same stupid bullshit, laid over, and died in the alley. Just meh.
Yep. Don't like that.
I'm going with aliens and or demons or both.
Domesticated horses are super fucking picky, and if you want to know, talk to a horse girl.
Horse girl?
Yeah, like girls that love horses. They're very, very picky what their horse gets.
They're also insane. Don't talk to them.
You might be fooled. It's a quiet kind of insane.
Oh, it definitely is. Like they seem normal on the surface and happy, and then man, they don't bueno.
Way too calm. It's like they'll kill you in your sleep kind of calm. They won't yell at you. You'll just die.
They won't kill you in your sleep. They will just set you on fire in your own pickup that is hooked to their trailer. Because fuck that trailer. Didn't want it anyway.
But the good news is you will end up the subject of a country song. Someday, probably.
And a Netflix documentary.
Ooh, that too.
Anyway.
Anywho.
Let's get back on topic a little bit, I think.
Are you kidding? On topic? Never.
We are talking about horses.
I know. Talking about horses. It turns out, and I'm not surprised at all, there is basically no push to have, I mean, there's individuals doing it, but there is no heavyweight at all behind trying to have feral horses listed as a game species.
Man.
And I assume it's because just imagine the optics on showing up to collect petitions. Can you sign this, please? Oh yeah, what's it for? We're gonna hunt horses.
Yeah.
I get it, kind of, but at the same time, it's a wild animal and they need to be managed. There's,
like I said,
you can't just fucking. Yeah.
I can see it from the original point of view of the legislation being passed, which was you essentially have extermination programs going on in some places, not widespread, because that would be painting it probably too broad of a brush. But you did have cases of like, they're at that point seeing them as pests and let's just exterminate them. They're not an invasive species in the sense like camels are down in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if the population this is what's wrong with wildlife management via legislation like that. Ballot box is worse, but doing it by legislation is not that much better. If the legislation itself is so inflexible, it doesn't leave options open to, okay, if the population gets high enough, like, to where we can delist these things like they're supposed to be doing with grizzly bears, then they need to do it so that the population doesn't swing so far in the other direction that it costs taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars per year. Mm-hmm. It costs private individuals a hell of a lot of money because they have wild horses wrecking their fences, wrecking grazing land, so on and so forth. But we can't do anything about it besides tranking them full of hormones and turning the freaking horses gay.
Man, I hate to say this, but unfortunately, this is one place where an executive administrative agency is the correct avenue to put this kind of power in control. And I don't like that, but that's where it works. Because just looking at Oklahoma in, I forget exactly the year, but like 1930, 1940, somewhere around there, had about 1,000 white-tailed deer total in the entire state before they were protected in any way. And the conservation efforts were put under the Department of Wildlife, and their numbers slowly grew, and there were reintroduction efforts. And then whenever their numbers got large enough, then there were hunting seasons introduced so that you could start hunting them to control the population. And that was possible without having to add on legislation to change what the goal was, because the goal was to save the species, but also allow them to be hunted as they had been hunted in the past. And having the national level legislation that, no, you really can't go, because I don't think we got into whatever the Happy-Go-Lucky Horses and Donkeys Act was of 1971, but you can't go kill them. They're protected federally. You can't hunt them. I'm pretty sure you can't shoot them if they're destroying your stuff.
You can't. They are
self-defense only in it.
It's pretty much self-defense only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with grizzlies.
Really and truly, they were coming right for me. So
It'd be Sean Maloney would be fucking impressed if he got a call from Second Call Defense saying, "Hey, this guy needs protected in a horse slaughter case."
They were coming right for me. How many? About 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Turns out if you shoot the first one, the ones behind it trip over them, and they all break their ankles and legs. And so after that, you just got to go clean them all up.
So
that's the problem. Their populations get too large, and then you have to go out of your way. Not even you. I'll even back up. You have to then spend money on strange programs to control the populations of these animals. It's costing taxpayers money to control the populations of wild horses that are causing damage and out competing other animals on the in the ecosystem that have actual natural predators along with human predators, when people would spend their own money to go help control that population.
I mean, I would. Have you seen what horse meat looks like? My brother's actually eating horse hot dogs in Iceland.
You know what's dumb? If you go buy a horse from the auction that was going to go to the dog food slaughterhouse, you can go kill that thing and eat it if you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can shoot and kill and eat your own horse.
So
$125.
Listen to my words.
We just have to go adopt them all first, and then it's legal to kill them.
People will just give you a horse. It's like, I can't take care of it anymore. Like, I'll take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Send it to me.
That's like it was earlier this year. Somebody on Nextdoor, the app for this area, was trying to offload 2 pigs and had in bold letters, "These are pets, not for eating." I was just like, "Oh yeah, yep, I'm going to take real good care of these guys."
What you're saying is they're super fat, and so I can render a lot.
They're Go.
I think I've told the story about my uncle figured out that you could get like garbage horses from auctions for no money at all, and it was cheaper than buying ground beef. Even if you had somebody else slaughter them and process the meat. And so
it's free.
He did that a few times. And then there was that time his brother gave him a horse and then he ate it.
Was there a caveat? I'm going to give you this horse. Now don't eat this one.
There was not a caveat. He just was a little miffed after finding out.
Well, what did he expect?
It was a good burger, though, wasn't it? So,
Poncho,
going back to the wild horses and stuff, Colorado has this program. It's called, I can't remember what it's exactly called, but it's essentially a damage hunt. And it's for elk over in the San Luis Valley by like the Great Sand Dunes National Park and adjacent. And you have to apply. And then if you're accepted, like if your application is accepted, you have to go out and do a shooting test. And in that shooting test, you have to do a 200-yard like kneeling shot or standing, and then a 300-yard prone shot. I'm like, oh, okay. And within 90 seconds, you have to put like 2 or 3 of each scenario in 90 seconds or 5 minutes. Fuck, I can't remember. Anyway, you go out and you get to hunt elk out of season. You can shoot bulls or cows. If you shoot a bull, you can't keep the antlers. You can't keep the head.
Boo.
Sorry. You can keep all the meat that you want.
I had a reaction.
But you can go out and shoot, I don't know how many elk. I don't think there's a limit. It's just their quota of what they want killed. That's spring. It's completely out of season. Spring, summer, something like that. But I don't see why something like that wouldn't at least be a step in the right direction with these horses.
I think
Like, don't open it totally to a draw system, but get your foot in the door with some damage hunts.
I think it would be an option, except for the legislation doesn't allow for any wiggle room there.
Trump?
Which was the point behind saying that, yeah, doing this stuff. I mean, yeah, Vince is right. As much as we don't want to be like, oh yes, executive power is the way to do it. At least there, you have flexibility. Versus if you pass a law that says this is a protected species, end of story. The only way to get that repealed is to go back and pass another law. And again, who is going to get elected to Congress and show up for work one day and go, all right, so I want to write a bill. What are we gonna do? We're gonna kill horses.
Yeah. Horses are
that will be used against you everywhere you go. You'll go up for re-election and it'll be like, oh look, it's the horse killer. He's so evil.
And no one's based enough to go, have you tasted horse?
Right. Or the fact that they are just livestock. They're not pets.
Or the fact that
people
like
bred
many
them.
animals,
They're tools.
Like many animals, we fall in love with them. We I always screw that up. We give them the anthropomorphize. Is that the word? Anthropomorphize. There we go. That's the word. We anthropomorphize. I need to stop saying it. Especially if you're somebody who's never had exactly. If you're someone who's never actually had to deal with horses, it's kind of like cows. They look all cute. They're dumber than a box of rocks. Last horse I was on, watched the horse in front of it. It was a one-eyed horse, so I'll give it this excuse. Maybe it didn't see the tree. Watched the horse in front of it go left around a big bushy tree. And I'm like, all right, pull the rein over a little bit, try and steer the... Oh, no, it went the other direction, ran me through the tree, ripped my shirt up. Like, you dumb fucking horse. It's like, well, horses, you had one eye. Dumb. That's the only excuse I'll give you is you had one eye. But that's probably why that horse had one eye.
All right. Some horses are incredibly dumb. Some are also incredibly smart and vindictive assholes. And I'm going to tell you straight up, that horse ran you into the tree on purpose. It totally did. Without question.
Nice to him.
Look at this bitch on my back.
Without question, that horse ran you into that tree on purpose, because guess what? I've had horses do that. And I had a Shetland pony, and it was the worst. He was just the worst. He would just run you into anything he could because he didn't want you on his back.
So what you're saying is, fucking Scooter ran me into the tree on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Smaller the horse, bigger the asshole.
Yep. Totally.
Clydesdales, gentle giants. One stepped on my foot one time. I thought I was going to piss my pants, but... it was an accident.
So, I mean, yeah. At this point, I think, with a population of 86,000, you could probably do a lottery system on them. If you just wanted to go full out, just classify them as big game species, put a lottery on them. People are going to apply for that tag. I'd apply for that tag. I wouldn't want to pay out-of-state resident on it, but, hey, I'd apply for that tag.
I mean, but, $50 million annually for off-range holding facilities and $53 million since 2006 on helicopter roundups and baiting operations. I mean, all of that goes away with people choosing to pay their own money to go manage the population. I mean, it's just that. Okay. And see, I've talked about it before. The whole difference between preservationist and conservationist ideology, and that the preservationist wants us to be in our own little zoo and to not mess with these species at all, except special people who get to go out there and do all the work, and that we have to pay for that work. Whereas in conservation, the citizen scientist, to use the annoying term, goes out there and does it themselves, and they're willing to pay their own money to do it. Like,
that is a really annoying term. Citizen scientist. Don't ever say that again.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
Ballot box biology.
It's late. I've used up all my other words for the day.
Oh no.
So, yeah, all of that expenditure goes away, and people who don't. So, like what y'all dealt with in Colorado recently with the
mountain lions?
the mountain lion hunting ban. If that had gone, not banned, ban, definitely not a band. If that ban had gone through, then the number of lions being killed every year would have been the same. It's just the taxpayers would have been paying for those mountain lions to be killed instead of hunters paying to do it of their own accord through purchase of tags and also the secondary money being spent on gear and camping equipment and guns and
Guides.
ammunition and guides.
Because you know there would spring up a guide service around that because somebody would just be like, "Fuck it, tell me take me where the horses are,
and dogs
take me in
and
the right direction, I'll shoot them."
the guy who's like, I'm going hunting, I need a truck instead of this car, and goes out and just freaking buys a truck. It generates money, it generates economic activity. Whereas if the government's just doing it, they're paying bottom basement dollars for equipment that companies are basically throwing at them so that they can get future contracts. Anyway,
I want to kill wild horses.
You're so evil.
I would also eat the wild horses.
Oh, I'd eat them in a heartbeat.
Dude,
I'm not sure I'm going to turn them into hot dogs.
No, that's emulsify and emulsify and emulsify and emulsify, and then you get this tubular meat. I could go. I don't know how it would be, but like horse backstrap.
I bet it's delicious.
See, my problem is I'm imagining like a yearling, like, ooh, that's got to be tender.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah.
We've got to get people out of the mindset that horses are pets.
See, that's the problem.
They're not.
We missed the opportunity after we switched from horse to car to make horses food.
Mm-hmm.
And it sat there long enough that people decided horses were pets instead of transportation. And I mean, we made the choice: pets or food. And
we have cow that make milk. We make that beef too.
I mean, if we could race cows, we probably would have decided cows were pets too. But it's not as exciting as racing horses.
Sir, they do race cows.
Can you imagine quartering out and packing out a fucking horse?
You're talking about an animal
every time.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's in. That's the zone it's in right there.
Mm-hmm.
You would need one. In fact, I don't have room for one in my freezer.
You gotta share.
That's why you make just a bunch of horse jerky and give to your friends for Christmas.
And you really hope your pack horses don't take it personal.
They're too dumb
They'll
to know.
Never know.
You don't let them see the kill site. You carry them. You hitch them about 100 yards away.
You imagine all the glue you'd get.
Well, it's like this is the thing. We got to go even further than just using every part. We have to use every part. So like the geese, we're making pillows next year. The horse, we're making our own glue. And
what are you doing today? Rendering glue. Dusky says it great. They're pets, they're food, they're also pet food. That is phenomenal.
I kind of want to integrate that into the title somehow, but I don't know how. Pets, food, and pet food.
I mean, we could do it real simple in the title and just have the title be horses. They're pets, they're food, they're also pets' food. I'm in for it. I like that. We'll talk about it. Anyway.
There's another question here from Chaotic 117. In other countries that eat them, are they hunted or raised and slaughtered?
Raised and slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends. If you're in Australia, they're going to be hunted because you're talking about wild horses.
True.
But
the countries I'm aware that eat them on the regular are European.
Yeah.
I shouldn't
At
even
which
say on the
point-
regular, but that do eat them or tend to be European countries.
Well, they just eat them like they're any other animal that you eat.
To be fair, in Australia, they're not hunted; they're culled. Like you don't
Right.
draw a tag and you go hunt them. You just kill them. And if you've seen them raggedy bitches, they can just stay there and he can burn them with the camels. They're
How
fucking
sad.
nasty looking horses. My God.
I mean, some of the ferals that I've seen pictures of in Nevada are nasty looking too, man.
Hey, leather
I
is leather.
Fair. I
It's
have
just
seen
already pre-tanned.
the Chesapeake Bay wild horses, and those looked like normal ass horses. Granted, I mean, it could have been the climate on a coastline, but they look healthy, thick horses.
Was it here we were talking about? Where did I hear? So when you're talking about leather, if you see the
Mhm.
term common leather, that's horse leather. Because if you actually put horse leather instead of cow leather or elk or deer, people get all mad.
I believe it.
It's a people thing about these horses.
Oh, it's totally.
It is. It is. It's 10 times worse than the whole Bambi thing.
Yeah. What is the difference between Bambi and caballo? Besides,
Well,
you can ride caballo.
the people who all they know about deer is the movie Bambi and like, you can't kill Bambi. That's so terrible. What's wrong with you? And then horses are 10 times worse.
And then Vince comes out and was like, "Yep, 58 pounds."
I'd ride that.
I forgot about that. I forgot we were giving him a hard time for killing the smallest deer.
No, I wasn't giving him a hard time. Fucking a kill's a kill, man.
He's up
I
there
mean-
glassing. He's like, wait, fuck, that one's too big.
If you
Nope,
haven't watched the Incomplete Deer Hunter series, like from back in the early 2000s with Jeff Foxworthy, you need to do it because it goes through the whole stages of like when your buddy kills a deer. It's like this big one. It's like, holy shit, man. Fucking looking at the rack and everything. It's like, hell yeah, that's a dandy. And then it gets down to like a fawn size, and it's like, damn, look at the size of the feet on that thing. He's gonna be good eating.
You know what's sad? I'm 90% certain that the deer I killed this year, no matter how small it was not the smallest deer I have ever killed.
A deer's
Rifle
a deer.
season 2013, this doe would not go away. It kept staring at me and blowing, and I'm sitting in the stand, and I'm like, just freaking go away. And I'm like, it doesn't look that small. And finally, it would not go away, so I shot it. And I get up to it, and I'm like, oh no. Oh no.
This doe has spots.
It's like it was one step above that. I dragged it up a hill and did not break a sweat.
The spots were tinted.
I didn't even gut it. I was just dragging it up the hill, walking like, this is bad. This is bad, and I feel bad, and I should feel bad.
It's so tender, he just freaking peels it open like a duck and just peels out the backstrap.
It's like
This
it's like a banana, just like, yep, and there we go. It's all ready to go.
My dog is easier or is harder to walk than this thing is to drag.
I still remember. I felt bad. I mean, I felt bad. I was like, oh man, should I tell people about this? Maybe I should just walk away.
Oh boy.
Anyway, it was a tiny deer.
Yeah, but
Now-
it's still a deer.
I wonder how Boone and Crockett would measure a horse. I bet you horses come on Pope and Young first.
It would have to be
It-
some kind of skull measurement.
Yeah, skull
You
measurement.
think it would be skull measurement or would it be just overall weight like they do in Maine with deer?
I would guess it'd be a
Maine's
mixture of that.
dumb.
Also, height, the shoulder height. Just get some how big of a horse you got, because you got some tiny ass little fucking Mustang thing, or do you have the descendant of some farmer's quarter horse that ran off?
Girth measurement plus tail length plus skull length.
Imagine measuring the tail like it's a freaking turkey. Like it's a
like
turkey beard.
Yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
what did you say? Tail length, girth, and skull. Imagine a maxed out horse for those measurements. It's just round as hell with a huge head and a long ass tail.
Hey, talk about huge heads around here. That's rude.
It's like a dude with a huge head and a fat ass and just the biggest beer belly in the world.
But also the height of a donkey.
Oh my God, it's Danny DeVito.
They measure them. What was the fucking Randy's penis measurement from South Park? It was like girth times height divided by the angle or something like that. Get you your adjusted horse score
equals nice.
Dusty says like a cow. You start hearing instead of hunters going up in the mountains and killing a moose and burying it, it's like hunter mistakes cow for horse.
Okay, so there are also feral cows. A lot of them in Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
That's how the whole Texas cattle trade was founded.
Oh man,
Some of the feral fucking cows.
Some of the coolest stories I've read are about people hunting feral cattle in the highlands of Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
That it sounds fun.
What about the feral chickens?
Less so.
Oh.
Feral pigs too, but
insert Mike cock joke. Feral cock. It's like he's still here with us.
All right. Would you call that a I got
he's
nothing.
Still with us in here in spirit.
I've noticed us saying more dad jokes. I don't understand it.
He's not dead. He's just absent, like your dad.
Oof.
He was. That's what happened. Mike went out to get his computer fixed. And he never came home.
Welcome to 2024.
Wow.
Jesus.
All right, well, kids, I need to go get my phone fixed. Never came back.
We don't drink milk. We're vegan.
It's almond milk. Dad went out to get a gallon of almond milk.
And to get his MacBook replaced.
Wanders back in 17 years later, like, man, those almonds were hard to milk.
Still got that Prado, though.
Ow.
So, and he went duck hunting yesterday. I saw his, because I drove past where he works, and I saw the damn kayak strapped to the top of the Prado still.
Still, like, was it removed prior to this last month?
Maybe not. That's a question for him. All right. Well, to put a bow on that, call your senator and advocate for the killing of wild horses.
They're coming to a state near you.
Okay, what I would say is, I don't even know. Like the situation we have with the wild horses is where some people want all wild game to be, and that's a problem. So
this wasn't meant, because as I was figuring out the show notes, it was like, is there going to be some, like, what's the call to action on this? And it took a little while to get into the groove on it. There's not really a call to action on it. It's more of a, and this is how I wish. This is kind of how it developed in conversation. I wish I had had the time or the mindset to frame it out beforehand for the conversation. It's more of like a cautionary tale almost. It's like,
That's
look,
true.
if you let them do this kind of stuff, and if you let your
get
feces get a hold of you, where it's like, oh no, well, who really wants to hunt a horse anyway? You could end up in a situation where you have a population that is so over the top now, so overpopulated, that you're dumping money into it so that you can freaking trank horses from a distance and round them up and basically put them in horse storage. Now, a lot of those horses are eventually people try to adopt them out, but I mean, that's a feral horse. That's a gamble on its own.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say my dad has adopted Mustangs. And
Based.
To varying success, I think. Some of them never really accept people, and for some reason it seems like the people they fail to accept the most are children. Like, they'll get used to adults don't like children. Those weird little things. We're gonna eat them.
Probably size and then just energy.
Yeah. And yeah, as a cautionary tale of what could happen if we make this kind of legislation for other things, it's just kind of scary.
Well, Colorado's I'm gonna say wildcat, not a specific species, but talking about our wildcat species, they would have gone overpopulated eventually, big time.
Yeah. I kind of like this wrap up that you have for this. I think we might. You could read that if you wanted and kind of close that out.
Okay. Sorry, you just reminded me of the time Mike wrote a big long wrap up, and I think it had to do with the cat hunting ban in Colorado. And he had talked about not reading it verbatim, and then he turned around and read it verbatim plus extras.
Yeah, and then he was riffing throughout the whole thing. I was like, this is not what I thought you meant.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not going to read it before the show. He's like, I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'm just going to skim through it. I'm just getting my thoughts down. I was like, all right, cool. That's fine. And
yeah, I'm not going to read it verbatim. And verbatim is like a popcorn kernel, and then it just pops. And then that's what he did instead.
Well, it keeps popping too, because he would. And you know what? Fair enough. He had good points. But I just think it's funny that he talked about condensing it. And then every 4 sentences, he'd stop and go, oh, yeah. And by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wait a minute, I've been sold a spill of goods.
He got real emotional in that one. He started saying the fuck word a lot.
Good.
It was good
to riff on him. I'm just saying I thought it was going to read this. I thought it was funny because it reminded me of like, oh yeah, Pepperidge Farm remembers. The wrap up that was written up here was that legislation intended to promote conservation, such as the Wild Free Roaming Horses and Burros Act of 1971. Oh, I'm going to pull a Mike and riff. When it comes to wild burros, don't be like those idiots who took short-barreled rifles in their night vision into California to hunt coyotes, mistakenly shot wild burros, posted pictures of it all over the internet, and then got slapped with a whole bunch of felonies for it.
Oofta.
That was 2-3 years ago. There's a bunch of guys that were going onto like the Instagram, and they had like their own little night vision company called Gloom Group. Yeah, they murked a wild burro or two, and rather than going like, oh shit, that's not, I mean, first of all, don't take illegal rifles that are legal in California into California. That's asking for trouble. I know, I love freedom too, but for your own personal welfare, don't do stupid shit. And then they shot look, it's a coyote, bang. Oh, rather than looking at it and going, oh shit, let's get the hell out of here. Oh no, let's take pictures of that and post it on the internet.
I just don't understand how. I don't understand.
Shitty. This is why you have to have 640 thermal.
Because it was dark outside and they were looking, and I think they shot at something that moved, I would bet. Anyway,
as per my last name, it's a fucking donkey.
I mean, I don't disagree. It's a little far off from a coyote, but all right.
40 pounds versus 800 or even 400.
Yeah,
Never
and
mind.
one of them howls, and one of them makes that really annoying noise every morning. That's a hell of a thing to be woken up by. What?
I'm gonna clip that.
Go ahead.
Noises.
It's a hell of a sound to be woken up by in the morning. I'll start over. Legislation intended to promote conservation, such as the Wild Free Roaming Horses and Burros Act of 1971, often achieves its initial goals but can lead to unintended consequences when its rigid application doesn't account for changing circumstances. While the act successfully protected wild horses from exploitation and inhumane treatment, its lack of provisions for sustainable population control has resulted in overpopulation, habitat degradation, and increased competition with other wildlife and livestock. The law's emphasis on protection without flexibility has created a situation where non-lethal management methods like fertility control are needed but aren't always sufficient to prevent long-term ecological damage. This highlights the challenge of balancing immediate conservation goals with need for adaptive ongoing management that can address evolving environmental and population dynamics. That last sentence is kind of the hook, actually the last half of a sentence, because ongoing management to address evolving environmental and population dynamics. That's the problem with this crap, is that what happened with what the picture looks like in 1971 is not how the picture looks like in 2024.
God, that was
correct.
53 years ago.
Fuck, it was. That's a really long time ago. For some reason, the 70s don't feel that far away. Oh boy.
I mean, evolving environmental and population dynamics, that comes in huge to a lot of things. City deer, black bears, lions, horses. It's a whole swath of stuff there too.
You know how bad people are about deer that come into their yard and eat their bushes, and they're like, "Oh, they're so cute." If it was horses, you know how much worse it would be?
Oh my God.
You know what that reminds me of?
I feed the wild horses in my yard. Meanwhile, the rest of the neighborhood's like, "Stop it, lady."
The people who whine and moan and yell about hunting elephants in Africa, and then you go to like Zimbabwe and they're like, "Hey, why don't we take these and put them in your backyard, see how you like it?" And the fact is that elephants damage a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of people in Africa, way more than you think. There's actually way less wilderness in Africa than there is in North America. Mm-hmm. And elephants break a lot of things, as you might imagine.
They're kind of big.
I vote we call horses cowboy moose from now on.
Oh, that's what. Oh, Dave's onto something. We just need to rebrand them.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take away.
It's all marketing.
The horse. Yeah, it's just marketing. We just need to come up with a new name that's not pleasant, like a
Clydesdale is a heavy cowboy moose.
Yeah, something. We need an unpleasant name, and then basically a whole marketing campaign to eliminate the scourge and only show the nasty ones that are look like they're freaking disease ridden.
Okay,
we'll turn the ship around in no time.
Oh man, we gotta. I hate to even go there, but we need to call them Trump deer. Pretend that they're a distinct species from the domesticated horse.
And these ones are fascists.
A paint would be a spotted Trump deer.
Piebald, sir. Piebald.
Oh, but yeah, piebald.
Piebald, whatever.
All right, well, that's the end of that.
I really want to shoot horses now. Wild horses.
See, but even on its face, that sounds like a really weird thing to say because we've all been culturally conditioned to think that that's, wrong.
Yeah.
It's kind of that thing where Mike's been like, I want to eat a coyote, but a coyote's basically just a dog. You just have to be willing to, you have to find a clean one
Yeah.
Mhm.
which is kind of harder with coyotes than with other animals that we tend to hunt. And then you have to get over it in your head that, okay, I can and should be eating this. Like I'm kind of regretting not taking some of that coyote meat just to try and see, because man, that was a clean coyote.
If I had got to mine earlier than what I did, I would have cut off meat. Not
So,
for me. I would have sent it to Mike to
so are we gonna create like? And Mike's not here, so let's just volunteer him. Are we gonna create like a little pact that when we go cutting coyotes in March or April or whatever, that if we kill a good looking clean one, we're gonna take just a little nibble off that back strap and see how it cooks out?
Yeah, the problem is there doesn't
no.
seem like there's a lot of backstrap. The backstrap doesn't seem like there's much there.
No.
I'm thinking like a
Dave's not even entertaining this idea. He's like, nope.
No. I am entertaining this idea, but I
Oh.
think we go full out. I think we do
Rotisserie.
front shoulder. I think we do some rib meat, a little flank steak off a coyote,
Ooh,
maybe some backstrap. We'll have
Good
tenderloins that are like the size of a pencil. And then like we'll do some sort of roast with the ham.
good.
I'm
good
not
point.
eating any of it.
Oh,
Mike is all about it though.
well, I mean, you raise a good point, which could be maybe there's a part on a coyote that tastes pretty damn good.
look, if you cook it to 160 degrees internal temperature, I'll eat it.
Well, the thing is, Mike will eat anything and say that everything tastes good. So we could do any of this, and he'd be like, "Yep, I'd eat that."
The kicker is he cannot make bulgogi with it. It has to be a dumbed down something where you actually got coyote flavor, not
Well, that's where
barbecue
you do like
sauce.
the tenderloin that way, but then you stage out different, cuts for different recipes.
You know, I,
We just
I
have, like, a
felt
big coyote potluck.
I felt weird telling my son.
If we ever have a listener meetup, we're gonna call it the Big Coyote Potluck.
The price
My
of
son-
entry is you have to bring your favorite coyote recipe.
My son was like, "Dad, we haven't killed any deer yet while we're down here. Shouldn't we take some of the meat from this coyote?" And I'm just sitting there like, oh, I don't. That's not how this works, son.
You insulted me in one of the worst ways that you could,
I like-
but you didn't
I
even know it.
I like where your mind's at, but also no. I entertained it. Maybe if I'd been at home where I could immediately put this in the freezer, but I was not going to see how coyote meat fared in the cooler for 2 days. I know what deer meat do with that. I wasn't going to play. Wasn't playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I say, if we get a good looking one, we force feed it to Mike first and see what happens.
Okay. We'll do it service. We'll do the buttermilk where you soak it in buttermilk overnight. And then maybe a light marinade and either roast it or grill it. I don't want to do pulled coyote
Really?
because
No.
that's just no. I mean, yeah, that could be an option later, but if I'm gonna eat coyote, I'm gonna eat coyote. I'm not gonna eat barbecue sauce.
I mean, we could just do a pot roast.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi pot roast.
mean,
I
yeah.
think we changed this to Arkansas pot roast. We don't insult Mississippi pot roast as such.
Okay, fair. Florida pot roast.
You can
Okay,
do
that's
Oklahoma
fine.
pot roast. That's fine. Florida pot
DC
roast is gator.
How true.
DC pot roast.
Heh.
All right, I'm game.
Yep.
Dakota pot roast.
Let's do it.
It's gonna be a small one though. We're not shooting a big old nasty fucking coyote.
Oh no, it's gonna be it's gonna be small
Man.
and tender, and nice and pink on the inside, and not all
Do you know
like, yeah.
how bad I want a coyote as a pet, but I know it won't last. I'll shoot the fucking thing. See a coyote running around in my yard. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Oh, that was fucking lucky. You're not so lucky now.
Mm-hmm.
The more I think about it, I wish I could have taken the meat from the coyote that I shot because it was big, but it was not nasty in any way. It was like, this is a 2-year-old coyote that has not been in a lot of fights or anything like that. And it's just clean. Man, that was the one, I think. I highly doubt I'll find another one like that. Though I think the Sunday after Christmas, maybe I'm going to be trying to flesh out that hide and start the tanning process. It's already been in the freezer for a month and I need to do something with it.
I got further information on that too. And my father-in-law used to, back when coyote hides were actually worth something, they used to skin and flesh a lot of coyotes. And he said that, yeah, the hair will tend to fall off, but they have left hides in the freezer for up to a year and they were fine.
Okay, so it's not like
it's
right
not
away.
drastic, I don't think. That said,
I still might go to fleshing.
I'm still going to,
I'm still going to look into whether or not I want to do a salt cure type tanning thing, or if I want to just use the brains that I pulled out of that deer and tan it that way.
I'm going to be salt chemical, like the actual tanning lotion. I'm not fucking around with brains or nothing like that.
I've messed with brains before. It's not that big a deal. Just don't tell your wife which blender you used to mix that up.
Son of a bitch, I don't have a blender. I only have a food processor.
Just use the whisk.
I don't have a blender. How do I not have a fucking blender?
Dave's over here like...
You get the potato masher first. You got to break it up a bit. And then... very nice.
I got to step up my margarita game, apparently.
Coyote brain margaritas?
No, getting a blender.
Well, you know. All right. Well, I think that'll about wrap it up for tonight.
Well,
that'll do, pig.
On the note of coyote brains, Dave, do you want to wade through our amended notes here at the bottom and remember where everything's supposed to go?
I got it as soon as I can find it. Oh, there it is. Well, support the sport and take
hold
a buddy
up.
What?
Don't forget, go check out Gideon Optics. We have an affiliate code, coupon code LGH podcast.
Oh, have you shot that red dot on the double barrel yet?
I have not, because I have not been home in the daylight very much recently.
Oh, so what you need to do is duct tape a flashlight under the barrels.
Yeah, and go have my kid yeet stuff out into the night so I can shoot at it.
Yeah.
Bruh.
While that does sound like a fun video, I might have to just wait on that until I can actually be home whenever it's not retarded.
They make glow-in-the-dark clays.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
They do.
Yeah.
Guys, I didn't need to know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you did.
Just sit there with a little UV light over the top of them and charge them up and
just going to be everywhere out there. Be like, what's that?
It's sewer gas. If you when horse hunting becomes legal, highly recommend the Guardian in first focal plane. Really nice.
Also check out that was Gideon Optics at GideonOptics.com. Also check out Camerado. Our affiliate code is Let's Go Hunt. That's Sean Heron's Camerado is his camouflage pattern that he has designed himself. I actually like the Scout pattern quite well, and I've been meaning to message him about a LGH specific camo pattern, and I think I have a couple ideas. It could be fun for there. So does Dave. I might include him on those messages.
Mm-hmm.
So use Let's Go Hunt coupon code at camerado.com for 5% off, I believe. I've actually been using, so this past season, I used the sun shirt as a base layer, and then the puffer jacket over it. And that was actually really useful as a layering system. And then I had the wind shirt in case I needed a somewhat waterproof layer, because that does actually provide a little bit of help if it's kind of damp out. It is not a rain jacket at all, but if it's just spritzing a little bit, drizzling a little bit, it's actually really useful as an outer layer, and also as a second layer in case it's not warm or it's not cold enough for the puffer jacket. So you can actually layer up with some of that stuff and make it work really well.
Can you like camp dry that windbreaker? Like waterproof it?
I don't see why not. I mean, you could hit it with some Scotch Guard, see what happens.
Yeah.
You'll smell good after that.
Damn it.
All right.
Well,
all right, Dave, run us on out of here.
Support the sport and take a buddy hunting. If you like that buddy, tell them about our show. If you don't like them, send them to some other show that doesn't support horse hunting. Hit us up at contact lghpodcast.com. Follow us on Instagram at Let's Go Hunt Podcast. Thanks for listening, and let's go hunt.
So there's a big decision here. I lost the show titles already. Do we do horses, their pets, their food, they're also pet food, or the big coyote potluck?
Where is it? I can't even see.
All right. Well, good night.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. I wish you had better things to do on a Tuesday.
All I see is show titles Mike.